The final individual immunity challenge of the night was called the HJC Legacy Challenges. This challenge was played in 2 parts. Part 1 was called Hunt, Jog, and Catch 'em If You Can. In this Part 1, the 16 players were randomly assigned to an equally spaced out starting spot marked by a green cone on track lane 3 at the Redmond Stadium. Connor Hudak opted out of the challenge at the very beginning. All players who were provided a flag football Velcro belt to wear with 2 flags hanging from their waist on either side of their hips. After the host said, "Survivors ready? Go!" and a loud whistle was heard, players started running in the lane with the goal of catching up with the player ahead of them in that lane. They did. Then they had to pull off just one of the player's flags, and that player would be eliminated. If both flags or a player fell off somehow while they were moving, the player was automatically eliminated from the challenge. Once a player has eliminated someone, they then continued in the lane to catch up with the next player ahead of them to do the same. While they were chasing the person ahead of them, they needed to remember that they were also being chased themselves. If a player stepped out of lane 3 at any time or ran in reverse at any time, they were immediately eliminated. This continued until there were only 2 players left on the track. Kelvin and Evan took the victory after dominating the track and outlasting all the rest to earn an individual immunity necklace for the final tribal council of the night. Part 2 was called the Circle of Doom. In this part, the 15 players sat in a circle on the grass. There were 2 skull props placed in the middle of the circle to begin. All players were provided blindfolds that they needed to wear each round. For round 1, after the players had put on their blindfolds, then one person was randomly selected and tapped lightly on the shoulder by the challenge coordinator. Once that person has been tapped, then the host instructed them to remove their blindfold, get up very quietly, go to the center to grab the skulls and place them on the ground facing 2 other players they wanted to eliminate. Then, once placed, the placer person had to head back to their original spot and put back on their blindfold. After they were back at where they started, the host asked everyone to remove their blindfolds and announced who had their skulls in front of them. Those 2 players then had 30 seconds to try to figure out who placed the skulls in front of them and make an accusation. If they guessed correctly, they eliminated the skull placer from the challenge. If they guessed incorrectly, they eliminated themselves. After someone was eliminated, the skulls were reset to the middle, blindfolds were put back on, a new player was tapped on the shoulder, and the game repeated itself. In round 1, Danielle was the skull placer, and Logan and Hayden were eliminated. In round 2, Scott was the skull placer, and he was eliminated. In round 3, Jack was the skull placer and eliminated Silas and Hayden.
I'm gonna think it's you because you're like further out than everyone else.
What's his name?
Who's you?
What's his name? So
Evan,
if you don't,
Dane. Silas.
Hurry up.
all right, pick Silas.
Hayden, you're out.
Oh,
Silas, you're also out.
In round 4, Holly was the skull placer and eliminated Caden J. After round 4, one of the skulls were removed and the gameplay continued. In round 5, Danielle was the skull placer again and eliminated Blaine. In round 6, Hope was the skull placer and got eliminated. In round 7, Jack was the skull placer and was eliminated. In round 8, Joe was the skull placer and Holly was eliminated. In round 9, Connor was the skull placer and Danielle was eliminated. For the final round, it came down to Dane, Joe, and Connor. Dane was the skull placer and put the skull in front of Joe. Then Joe had to make a guess between Connor and Dane as to who placed it there. Unfortunately, Joe guessed it incorrectly and gave the win to both Connor and Dane as the final 2. Who will be voted out at the final tribal council of the night? Stay tuned.